Well, hello there, YouTube people and the world, and how are you guys doing? Did you guys have a good Columbus Day or whatever? Well, I don't even want to hear the word Columbus Day, to be honest, or even think about Columbus Day, because I had just got fired from Olive Garden. Yay! Fired from my first job ever. It's weird because I've never been fired from a job before in my, few years of being in the working industry. If I've left the job, it was always on my own terms. I've never gotten fired. I always put in my 2 weeks, and then I've gone to the next job. But yeah, it's just weird. I'm a person who's been fired or terminated from an employer now. So I guess when I put that on future applications, I'm gonna have to write that down now. So it's gonna be a little bit of an extensive story, not too long, but there's some details that'll like explain how it happened and why it happened. So this all started on Columbus Day. Now I want to remind you that just the day before, I had gone through something really terrible. Like, it was really bad. Like, I can't even say it. All I can say is it involved me in some domestic violence that has been going on all my life. And so yeah, I've been like very fragile, very sensitive, and it was just terrible. So here we are, not even 24 hours later after this happened. I get a table because I'm a server there, and I go and greet this table, and I somehow how this Columbus Day was, and I forgot to say this is a four top, so there's three girls. They looked about my age. They're about early 20s, or could be a teen, like a teenager. And then there was one guy. I asked them how their day was, and the three of the girls, they all the girls I should say, they all responded saying, we're good. How are you? And the guy that I'm looking at just didn't say anything back to me at all. He was kind of being a little cold and a little standoffish. So I get all their drink orders, and then I remember what they oops I remember what they ordered to drink. The three girls got two of the girls got raspberry lemonade, and one girl got water, and the guy got a raspberry lemonade. So after I got their drinks, I had asked this question. I asked, okay, so have you guys had have you guys had some time to look through the menu? And then the guy just all of a sudden slapped at me, and he said, yeah, because you didn't come over here and say hi. And I was like kind of taking it back. Like, I didn't know how to really, it's not like I didn't know how to respond, because I was obviously about to apologize to the guy, because he felt like I didn't greet him, or I guess he felt like he'd been sitting at the table long, even though he had just only been there like 2 minutes. And the thing is, I have other tables too. Like, I have two other tables that are like right across from him that I have to attend to as well. So I'm sorry that I didn't get to you within 10 seconds when you sat down, but it's whatever. But I couldn't even apologize to the guy, because right after that, he snapped at me. Like, literally, he snapped his fingers in my face and asked if we have unlimited pasta bowl. And I said yes, but he wouldn't let me get a word out. He just kept saying, do you have unlimited pasta bowl? That is a yes or a no question. And then I'm like, yes, would you like to see the pamphlet or the little menu for the unlimited pasta bowl? And this is when he says yes, and go get me a different server while you're at it. And that's when I kind of just lost it a little bit, and I said, you know what, fine, I don't get paid enough to be yelled at by customers. So I walked away, and I went to the managers, told them what happened, and then they went to go get another coworker of mine who's also a server, and she took that table away from me, which I was kind of happy to at this point, because if I was gonna be dealing with that guy for like a minute, I mean, the minute I was done with that guy's disrespect was enough for me. Like, I couldn't do a whole hour, because that's usually how long, you know, guests really sit down, to be, you know, I couldn't deal with an hour of this. So I really didn't want to serve that type of person anyway. So after that, we basically go our separate ways. For the most part, the table is my table, so I'm left with a 2-table section now because it's jerk off. And I'm dealing with a 2-table section, and they leave eventually. And you know, I didn't think anything was really gonna happen to me, but of course something does. So I get called into the office when I'm, you know, doing my side work and leaving and all that stuff. And they didn't write me up, but what the lower level managers did is have me like sign some sort of like claimer or something. It's just like basically this, you just write down like what happened with the table, and then I guess this is supposed to like determine what the manager should do. How should they punish this employee, or should they just leave it alone? Should they ban the guests from the restaurant? That type of stuff. So I told them what happened from my perspective, and I written down what happened, and I did not think I was gonna get fired at all. Never in a million years, because thing is, I have never went off on a guest ever. I've never been written up. The only time I've ever gotten written up in my years of doing this like customer service thing was probably for not taking my lunch on time. And that's because the guy wouldn't let me go to lunch on time. But yeah, that's pretty much the only reason why I ever gotten written up. And I've always had a great attitude towards guests. They've never complained about me. I've never lashed out or anything. And then I was just at a moment where I'm very super sensitive because of what happened to me the day before, of this person yelling at me, and I just couldn't take it. But it was just whatever. The kitchen manager told me that like Lee or whatever, this is the general manager, would contact me, and he would contact me that following day, the following Tuesday, to see what he would want to do from there. During that Tuesday, I didn't get a call from him. I didn't get a call from him Wednesday or Thursday either. And I'm thinking, okay, so he probably just decided to just put this in the past and just move on from there. But how I knew how I first figured out that I was like really fired was I went to go look at the schedule online. And the schedules are usually posted Thursday night. And I'm on the current schedule. I'm on the current schedule still, but my name was not on the next week's schedule. And I'm like, oh. So I'm like, okay, maybe they just didn't update it yet, or, you know, I don't know. Maybe they were firing me. So I went ahead and called after the business closed, which is at 10 o'clock. And I asked them, like, hey, what's going on? My name's not on the schedule. I don't have any days. And this is a lower level manager, so he does not like make these decisions. It's all the GM. He does the firing, and he does the hiring, and he does the firing. So I like this guy. I like all the lower level managers, really. And he just said, you know, just call back, or no, he'll call you tomorrow morning. And same thing, I didn't get a call back, but I was scheduled to work today. So I come in at 4 o'clock. I clock in. So I was, to be honest, I was kind of shocked that I was still able to clock in. And I went to go see my GM, and, you know, just have a face-to-face and just see, like, what's going on. What are you planning to do with me and my employment? And that's when he finally sat down with me and let me know that, hey, this is just not acceptable. You should not be telling your guests that you don't get paid enough to do certain stuff, and we just decided to terminate you. So it was a pleasure having you. And I really didn't say anything. Oh, the light went off. I really didn't say anything because I was kind of in shock still. Okay, not that bad. Yeah, I was in shock still, and I didn't really know how to respond. Thing is, I was kind of a little passionate, and I really wanted to get my point across to him, how I felt and how this guest was wrong and how he shouldn't be getting all these apologies and these discounts and free food and stuff, because that's what he did, I'm sure. And I know that's what he did because apparently they had another meeting on the next Tuesday or something like that. So I really wanted to tell him that, but the thing is, when I'm really passionate, I'm loud. And we're sitting in the dining room, and despite me being terminated, I didn't want to cause any tension. I didn't want to cause drama. I prefer we had sat in the office and talked, really. But yeah, I just decided to, just go ahead and leave. Oh wait, I think I forgot to clock out, by the way. Who cares? Whatever. They'll automatically do it anyway, I'm sure. But this just didn't sit well with me because I felt that this was just wrong. Because I feel like too many customers, they just get away with this behavior. They feel like they can come in any way, treat the staff terribly, and then they always want to do the stuff where they complain to a manager, lie or whatever, and then they get the employee fired. Now, was I probably wrong in responding to him saying I do not get paid enough to be treated like this? Yeah, but the thing is, he's dealt with a lot worse, as in my GM. He's had his employees curse out the customers, hang the phone up on the customers, and tell them to F off and all that type of stuff, and they're still working there. But for me, because I simply said I don't get paid enough to get yelled at by a customer, I crossed the line, I guess. And I was just angry. I really was. Well, I wasn't angry. I was just disappointed how I just didn't think it was really going to happen. I really thought he was going to have my back, and he just didn't. So I sent him this long, huge-ass email, and I didn't, curse at him out or anything, or call him any names, or, call him out of his name or whatever. I was just letting him know that how hurt I was, how, sad this really was for me to lose my job, and then, but at the same time, just let him know how disappointed I am in him, just to let him know that the customer is not always right, and I always told myself that, this has just got to stop, One day when I become an owner or a manager, I'm always gonna try to be fair. If an employee is just being a dickhead to a customer for no apparent reason, that employee has got to go. I'm sorry, but if the customer is just being a complete douchebag, and I would simply just kick that customer out or something, or just let them know hey, I just gotta let them know what time it is. Hey, you're not gonna be talking to my employees like that. And I did not see my GM at all really come to my defense, and I was just really hurt. So yeah, I'm officially jobless. I don't know quite where I'm going. I mean, I did have an interview at Target for a $12 an hour job, and I do have a second interview, and I do have an interview at Toys R Us. Thing is, these jobs aren't promised, so I would have preferred to have at least left on my own terms when I got these jobs, but I'm just keeping the faith. I'm just gonna keep my prayers up, and hopefully God will make a way, But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Have a good fall.